Welcome back to the YouTube channel, everyone. Today's post, we are going to talk about your attention actually leads to provision. And I'm really going to create a new angle that maybe you haven't looked at, but your attention actually it is a spiritual function. Your attention, it is it's part of your sight, but what you don't know is your sight actually is managed by your mind, not your eyeballs. Your eyeballs are connected to your brain, but sight, even a blind person has sight. Now, what is sight? Sight is observation. It's attention, it's focus, it's clarity. It's it's opinions. It's a bunch of different things. And your sight is only one faculty of intellect. And what is intellect? Well, the word intellect, it means faculty of the mind or cognitive facilities. That's what intellect means. So intellect, let me break this down for third graders watching this. Intellect is your eyesight, it's your taste, it's your touch, it's your hearing, it's your sense of smell, and it's also your intuition. It's also your reasoning. So that's intellect. Intellect is how human beings create their world. Now, in your world is different from mine. Why? Well, because of perspective and perception. Now, you might only be able to see the color green. I might only be able to see the color purple. Maybe you only see brown. That is what you can see. That is how you are experiencing what is called sight. And imagination is part of sight. Visions are part of sight. Ideas are part of sight. All of this stuff is part of sight. Thinking is not part of sight. Thinking actually is included only for brain activity. Brains think. Okay? And thinking itself, I asked one of my students this the other day, what is thinking? And she was like, well, it's thinking. You just think. Well, thinking actually is when you are observing something and then you compare that something that you are now observing with a memory of yours, and you are jostling in your mind and in your brain with is what I am currently observing. Is this in conflict with a memory? Is this is this in harmony with this memory? And if it's in conflict, then we have a problem, and then we have to solve the problem. If there's no conflict, then we don't have to solve the problem. We might use it, to help us do something. But most oftentimes we don't. We just kind of move on. We only only address the problems in our life. But you might want to stay for towards the end. Just stay in this video, because I am going to give you the three exercises on how to train and manage your attention. Okay? To train and manage your attention. Now, why is this even important? Well, your attention is where First and foremost, your attention is the most valuable spiritual asset. Your attention is the most valuable spiritual asset. Why? Because life is spiritual. All things that exist have life. You can't tell me anything otherwise. All things that exist have life, but not all things that have life are alive. Those are two different things. Okay? Kyle, you're playing on words. I'm not playing on words. I just understand the context of certain things. Now, when you understand that all things that exist have life, that now we can understand what the word life means. Life means spiritual existence imparted by God. So life itself, that granular poof in this thing that we call existence, this thing that we call life, spiritual existence imparted by God. Life is only here because God gave this piece of abundance, this piece of infinity, a spiritual, a spiritual vibration, and this vibration is observed by us humans and everything else as life. This is what life is. Rocks have life, yes, but rocks are not alive. Okay? So your attention in spirit is highly dependent on if you can manage your mind. Are you managing your mind? Are you not? Well, a lot of people say that a lot of people say that the Bible says, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. The Bible actually does not say that. The Bible does not say an idle mind is a devil's workshop. It never said that, not once. But it does say an idle lips are the devil's mouthpiece and the idle hands are the devil's workshop. And those are true. If the Bible did say idle mind is a devil's workshop, I believe wholeheartedly that too would be true. Why? Because idle is kind of like when you have your car running in the front yard when it's cold outside. You don't want to get into a cold car when you're trying to go to work. You want the heater on, and you want the engine warm so you don't, tear anything up if you have like an older car, right? So an idle mind, it means unmanaged. An unmanaged process. So your car is in the front yard and it's on, it's running, the heater is on. But what ends up happening is you don't manage it. You're inside. You're dealing with the kids. You're sending, your last email or, excuse me. Every time I do a long form video, I yawn. I promise you I'm not bored. I don't know why. It's only on a long form video. I have no clue why. I will get down to it. But your vehicle in the front is on. It's running. The systems are checking itself, but you are not out there to manage it. It could be overheating. It could be the alternator might be destroyed, or your cabin light or the light inside of your car might be on and it's running your battery down, maybe. So all of this is just a silly example, of course. But an idle mind, it means that you are not managing your mind. How do you know if you're not managing your mind? Well, here's one way. Can you hold an image in your mind for 10 seconds? Just that one image without any distractions. You not moving it, not anything else telling you that it's stupid, not thinking about something else. Only that one image only. And if you can't, that's a sign that you can't, that you're not managing your mind, that you might have an idle mind. Now, a better example is a real world example. Let's say you're washing the dishes. you're driving to work, you're in the shower. And have you ever thought about an ex-girlfriend or an ex-wife or ex-husband or an ex-boyfriend, and all of a sudden you know, you're talking out loud? Why did you lie to me? Why did you cheat on me? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why couldn't you just do right? And if you're doing that while you are all alone, I can guarantee you that is a demon placing an image in front of your head, and you quickly accepted it because you paid attention to it, and you are paying attention to that image, and now it's creating havoc in your body. But now, not only that, the mind and brain connection is now activated. Now, after you are looking at that image, now your brain is saying, I must solve this problem. Brains are good at solving problems. So if you are in the shower and your ex-husband that you divorced 10 years ago cheated on you, and you're in the shower talking to your ex-husband about why did you cheat on me? You should have never done that. Your mind is idle. That's an idle mind, an unmanaged mind. Your mind is working, but you're not managing it. Okay? So why does your attention lead to provision? Okay? And please stick around. I will give you the 3 ways that you can, 3 exercises to train and manage your attention. Okay, but why does your attention lead to provision? Well, your attention is your most valuable spiritual asset. Why? Because that is the sole thing all of your spiritual warfare is based on. Your attention. So not only with the billboards and the ads online and the newspaper space, or the podcast, the bright lights, if you walk into a casino, all these sounds and everything are going off, color schemes, all this great stuff. Everything is fighting for your attention in the physical world, but in the spiritual world, it's the same way. How do I know this? Well, when you are on your purpose, let's say your God designed you to help orphan girls become billionaires. Maybe that's what God put you on this earth to do. But as soon as you start to make that your purpose a reality, like, for example, you might go to the courthouse and file for your LLC. That's one step on your long path of, helping orphan girls become billionaires. That's only one small step. But going to the courthouse to file your LLC, your ex-husband or your ex-wife comes back and now you and that person are just arguing for, like, they came out of nowhere. It almost seems like they came out of nowhere. Or your tire pops. Now you have a flat tire. Or your mom gets sick. Or your dog eats a crayon. Right? Something happens that is bringing your attention away from your purpose. Okay? So social media. Okay? So social media. If you have any social media, I think you understand what I'm talking about. And if you know what I'm talking about, please put this in the comment. So you're on your purpose. Okay, let's say you started your business. Now it's time for you to hire an assistant. You're overwhelmed you need to hire an assistant. And it's interesting because as soon as you crack open Indeed and LinkedIn and you start trying to make posts like job postings, what ends up happening is a social media notification will come up, and the algorithm knows what triggers you. Okay, so if you are a diehard feminist that just does not like men at all, every man is just evil. Okay, whatever. The algorithm might pop up, well, there's a new law coming into, place that, all women have to be indoors by 2 p.m. Okay, very silly. That's just an example. That would be an example of, the spirit or spirits, demons, or angelic beings going to war over your attention. Okay? All of your spiritual warfare is about your attention. Just think, if you only paid attention to things that made you rich. You didn't pay attention at all to any food commercial. In fact, you stopped watching TV. You only looked at YouTube or podcasts that were talking about how to scale, to things to get through the imposter syndrome. How to spot a quality accountant, things like that. Do you understand the amount of growth that you would experience in 6 months? Your attention is the seed. Your attention is the seed. Your effort plus time is what we call consistency. Okay? Your attention is the seed. Consistency is the thing that allows the seed to grow. But your attention must be what you pay your attention to. That is the soil that the seed is planted in. Okay? So if you are paying attention to, women shaking their backsides, the overly sexualized dancing, or if you're, paying attention to, men who has their chest oiled up, or if you're paying attention to, how to make a profitable greenhouse, or how to, really be a successful life coach. If that's what you're paying attention to, that's the soil. Okay. Your attention is the seed, but the direction of your attention is the soil that you're in. Now, it depends on how fast you grow, but time and effort is required for you to at least get to the soil, get out of the soil, to get out of the dark. So as soon as you, why is attention your, lead to provision? Well, number one, now that we know that everything in life is a spiritual projection, life, spiritual existence imparted by God. So now that we know that all life is a spiritual projection, what you pay attention to is either being fed to you by demons or the devil, or God or an angelic being or angels. Okay. So like, you might get an idea. You might get an idea of, starting a business. You have to pay attention to that idea for the idea called starting your business to become the soil that your attention is now resting in. Okay? If you are distracted by Netflix, if you are distracted by pornography, if you are distracted by, quick money that has nothing to do with your purpose, essentially, you would be taking that soil and throwing it in the trash. Okay, your attention is now being transplanted into a different pot with a different type of soil. This is important for you guys to really understand. So if I'm looking at pornography, if I'm paying attention to pornography, what do you think will grow from that? Disorder, distractions, low confidence. A person who is a walking distraction is not confident in themselves. They can't, because they're not rooted in anything. They're not rooted in anything. And this is why people who are addicted to pornography are not confident. They're not confident. But pornography is not ruled by lust. And the demon that rules lust is Asmodeus. Pornography is ruled by Leviathan, the demon of pride. Why do I know that? Well, Leviathan, or pride, is the word pride. It means the love of display. The love of display. Do you love displaying yourself, your accolades, your accomplishments? I've been to school. You don't see my certificates, my degrees on the wall behind me. Okay. I have a studio set so that I can somehow keep your attention. I have to have good aesthetics, but look, my shirt is wrinkled. Okay. My head is not shaved. That's why I have this skull cap on. My beard is not trimmed. Okay. I understand I'm not looking the best, but, and I struggle with pride. Okay. I struggle with pride. Trust me. So I get it. Nobody's perfect. I'm not talking to you from a place that I am perfect. I am not perfect. But so the people who, pornography is ruled by pride, because the people who participate in the pornography, the men and women, they love displaying themselves. They love to display themselves. So pride, they are being influenced by pride. Okay, it is not lust. Actually, if you didn't know, lust itself operates at a very rapid pace. Okay, distractions are only like a cat call. It's like a demonic cat call, like, hey, girl, I see you over there looking good. Hey, come over here. Right. And that's about it. Or just think of somebody saying, hey, really loud, and they get your attention very briefly, maybe like a half a second, a quarter of a second. But you have to decide to maintain that image. Okay. So the more you pay attention to anything, okay, the more that soil feeds you. Okay. The longer you pay attention to anything, essentially, like, the longer you stay in that soil. Okay. So you would have to change your mindset. You would have to literally not pay attention to pornography, to your addictions, to how your ex-husband or your ex-wife lied to you or cheated on you or stole money from you, or how change your attention from how your children are might be disobedient or rebellious. So with all that being said, okay, if you pay attention to holy things, holy processes, you get in return holy things. This is why it's called paying attention. If you walk into McDonald's and you pay for a hamburger, you get the hamburger. You paid for the hamburger. If you watch pornography, you are paying attention. Attention is currency. Okay, attention is currency. And for you business owners, you need to be making value at all levels. Okay, you need to be making value on all levels, not just for your high value tickets. For your extreme VIP getaways, like I have for my VIP retreat to Alaska. Okay, you need to have things like products or services for all levels. I have products for people that can only want to pay with their attention. Just go on to any of my social media accounts. You will see there's a lot of things that I speak about that you don't have to pay any dollar bills, no pesos, no yang, no any or yuan, no any of that. You don't have to pay any money. Just your attention is required for that. If you don't want to pay attention, then guess what? You don't get what you don't pay for. Okay. Okay. So, worship is a type of payment. Worship is a type of attention that's actually on steroids. Worship is a supercharged type of attention. When you are worshiping, you are almost obsessed with this thing. So when you are worshiping Jesus, you are obsessed with Jesus. When you are worshiping the zodiac signs, you are obsessed with the zodiac signs, okay? You only worship God and Jesus, okay? Like, those are the only things you need to worship. Don't worship your daddy. Don't worship your mommy. Don't worship your friends, your husband, your wife. Don't do that. Okay, anyway, fast forwarding. Here are the 3 exercises to train and manage your attention. Number 1, the 1 thought drill, okay? Focus on one idea for 5 minutes without breaking concentration. Choose one idea, concept, or scripture. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Keep your attention locked on that thought. No multitasking, no shifting to other topics. When your mind wanders, gently just pull it back. This teaches your mind that you, not your emotion or impulse, are actually in control. Your feelings, your emotions are not your leaders. They never were. When you say I just want to do what I feel, you're letting your emotions rule you. Like, you're a human being. Don't do that. That's not a sin, but it's a sin to me. Like, ew, that's gross. Anyway, number 2, the second way that you can train and manage your attention. Okay, this is called the attention audit. Write down where your attention went every 2 hours for 1 day. Set alarms every 2 hours, and when it goes off, stop and ask, where is my attention? Where has my attention been? Who or what has had the most influence over my thought, over my mind, and write it down. This exercise reveals how scattered or focused your mind actually is and exposes what's stilling your spiritual capacity. Did you know that your imagination is actually a spiritual function? Did you know that? I promise you, your imagination is spiritual, and your mind manages your imagination. How do I know? How do you know the word if you don't know the word? How do you know the word if you don't know the word? Well, the word imagination literally means faculty of the mind that forms and manipulates images. Okay? Anyway, number 3, the third way to manage or train your attention. Choose one object and mentally observe it for 3 minutes without naming it. This one's difficult. This is not about your eyes. This is about your mind. I told you, you don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind. Ask a person who has no sight to describe what the color red is. They then will have visions. Blind people dream. Dreams are sight. Okay? Blind people also have imaginations. Imagination is sight. Hallucination is sight. Delusion is also sight. Now, delusion is not a good thing. Hallucination is a good thing. And I'm not going to get too deep into that, but it's still very true. But okay, so the third way is, eye to mind practice. So choose an object, mentally observe it for 3 minutes without naming it. This is about your mind. So choose a single item, stare at this for 3 minutes. Do not label it. Don't think about what it is. Don't think about its purpose. Just observe it as you've never seen it before. Now, this reprograms your attention to stay present and not reactive. It teaches focus without mental commentary. So these are the 3 ways that you can train or manage your mind. I'll say them again. Number 1 is the one thought drill. Number 2 is the attention audit. And number 3 is the eye to mind practice. Okay. So with that being said, I want everybody to know I have a mini course for people who are trying to manage their mind. Okay. To manage their imagination. It's actually called Imaginations for Empaths mini course. Now, this is a mini course that I've developed for empaths because they are the most sensitive people in existence. And what is an empath? An empath is a person that is able to detect emotions, energy, sometimes even thoughts without even having a conversation. An empath literally means the person that can spiritually perceive suffering. And suffering, it just means to allow. It doesn't mean agony or, ouch. It just means what are you allowing? What are you suffering through? Okay. If you are a billionaire, guess what? You're suffering through being a billionaire. If you're poor, you're suffering through being poor. If you're a man, you're suffering through being a man. And if you're a woman, if you're tall, you're short, whatever. Okay. All this is still suffering. Suffering's not necessarily bad. It's never been bad, but we just thought it's bad because I don't know. I have no clue. But the mini course is here so that you can learn to master your imagination. I walk you through very crucial steps, very, very crucial steps, and I'll link it below. Okay. If you don't want to get through the mini course, I strongly encourage you to download your copy of the ebook called A Peace Called Love. This ebook will talk to you. It will talk to your heart. It will talk to your spirit. It will talk to your mind as well. Now, I love each and every one of you. Okay. I'm really going to try to be posting twice a week. So, I will be going live this Friday. And we're going to be talking about Leviathan and how he tricks you. Okay. Well, I thank you guys so very much. Do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe. Please understand that I have a lot of resources for you down in the description below. If you are a procrastinator, I have an ebook called The War on Procrastination. I have a mini course for you if you are a chronic procrastinator. It's called The Spiritually Disciplined Leader. The ebook is the battle plan. Okay? The mini course is the battle plan plus techniques. Okay? The mini course is designed for leaders, founders, CEOs, people who are serious about leading teams. If you're a parent, if you're a dad, a mom, if you're a big brother, if you're a teacher, an educator, if you're a coach, this is for you. Okay? But I think I'm going to get off. So this video doesn't go long, but I thank each and every one of you, okay, for your attention, okay? Now, if you didn't know, now you know.